Hi everyone, today we will be going to discuss our fourth ethic assignment, and in this video I'll be discussing encryption, privacy, and free speech along with some ethical questions about hacktivism and cyber warfare. In today's digital world, almost everything we do, whether it's texting, banking, or even posting on social media, that relies on some form of encryption. Encryption is what protects our personal data and allows us to communicate securely. That means that without it, our private conversation, financial information, and even identities could easily be exposed. As the reading explains, encryption plays a crucial role in allowing people to communicate with confidence and confidently, which directly supports freedom of expression. If people feel like they are constantly being watched or monitored, they are far less likely to speak openly or share honest opinions. However, encryption also creates a serious challenge. While it protects ordinary users, it can also protect criminals, making it harder for law enforcement agencies to investigate illegal activities. So this creates a tension between two important values like individual privacy and national security. So the key question becomes how we do balance these two. Should privacy always come first, or should governments they have more power to access information when necessary? In this video, I will explore these issues by looking at hacktivism, cyber warfare, and the ongoing debate about encryption and government access. So let's talk about the hacktivism. I think hacktivism can sometimes be considered a modern form of civil disobedience, but only under certain conditions. Civil disobedience traditionally means breaking the laws to protest injustice, like what we saw with figures like Martin Luther King Jr. The hacktivists often claim they are doing something similar, but in the digital world. For example, exposing corruption, linking the unethical government actions, or fighting censorship can be morally justified in some cases. In those situations, activism can raise awareness and push for change. However, the problem is that activism can easily cross ethical lines when it involves harming innocent people, stealing private data, or disrupting essential services. It stopped being ethical. So my view is this: the hacktivism is morally valid only when it's targeted, proportional, and focused on justice, not when it causes widespread harm. Otherwise, it becomes more like cybercrime than civil disobedience. All right, now let's talk about Stuxnet and cyber warfare. This is a really complex issue, actually. On one hand, using a cyber attack instead of traditional military strike can actually reduce physical harm. For example, Stuxnet targeted nuclear infrastructure instead of civilians. From that perspective, it could be seen as a safer alternative to war. But there are serious concerns actually. First, it sets a dangerous precedent. If one country uses cyber weapons, obviously the other ones will going to follow. This can lead to like escalation and global instability. The second, cyber weapons are unpredictable, so once released, they can spread beyond their target and affect unintended systems. So while I understand the reasoning behind using something like Stuxnet for national security, um, I think it should only be used as a last resort under strict ethical and international guidelines. Otherwise, it risks normalizing the cyber warfare and making the digital world more dangerous. Okay, the next one gonna be encryption and backdoors. This is probably the most important and controversial part. Um, should governments have backdoor access to encrypted communications? Personally, I'm against it. So the reading points out that the encryption is essential for the privacy and free speech, especially on an insecure platform like the internet. Without strong encryptions, people cannot communicate freely or safely. If governments create backdoors or master keys, it introduces major risk. First, those keys could be hacked or leaked. If that happens, not just governments, but criminals could have access like private communications easily. The second, it opens the door to mass surveillance, as the reading explains. On the one person encryption is broken, everyone they communicate with can also be monitored. So, however, I also understand the government's perspective. Law enforcement agencies need tools to prevent cybercrime um, and terrorism. Strong encryption can make investigations more difficult. So the challenge is finding a balance. Um, in this case, in my opinion, the solution is not weakening encryption, but improving targeted investigation methods. So like warrants, intelligence work, and cybersecurity tools that don't compromise everyone's privacy. So the orally, I believe unfettered encryption is necessary for a free and secure digital society. To conclude, the encryption is one of the most powerful and important tools in the digital age. So it protects our privacy, secures our data, and allow us to express ourselves freely without fear or constant surveillance. At the same time, it also presents real challenges for governments um, trying to maintain security and prevent crimes. The discussion around hacktivism and cyber warfare show that technology doesn't just change how we communicate, it also changes how power is used and challenged. The actions that might seem justified in one context can quickly become harmful or dangerous in another. That's why these issues don't have simple black and white answers. So personally, I believe that protecting individuals' rights like privacy and free speech should remain a priority, even when security concerns are significant. The weakening encryptions or introduction backdoors may seem like a solution, but a risk creating bigger problems such as mass surveillance or security vulnerabilities. Instead, I think the focus should be on smarter, more targeted approaches to law enforcement that don't compromise the privacy of everyone. As technology continues to evolve, society will have to keep re-evaluating this balance between freedom and security. But one thing is clear: the decision we make about encryption today, um, well, going to shape the future of digital rights for years to come. So thanks for listening. We're going to end my discussion. So uh, have a wonderful day to all. Thanks.